Layaxin, Paucachin, Datadat, and Pachidat nations whose people have walked gently on these lands for thousands of years. And again, I know we're all so grateful to be here. Oh, you're not underway? We're not live. Oh. Dress rehearsal. I thought I said we're live. Buffering, okay. Remember the old days when we just had meetings and we didn't have to wait for buffering?
Practice makes perfect.
I'll come up with something new this time. And we're live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting. I feel like I'm having deja vu for Wednesday, October 11th, 2023. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize with gratitude that we are on the unceded territories of the Kwetson, Malahat, Subasit, Halalt, Penelakut, Staminas, Layaxin, Paucachin, Dididat, and Pachidat nations whose people have walked gently for thousands of years. And with that, we will get underway. Before we begin, we do have some changes or additions to the agenda. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you, Chair. We have added items from the Committee of the Whole this morning at CR4. We have an added motion to adopt 4484 in bylaws, that's BEA 1. For closed, we would like to change CSSR 6 to CSSR 7 and add CSSR 6, an item to close under Community Charter, Section 91C, Employee Relations. And we are also adding new business for the discussion of the next Committee of the Whole Board meeting on October 25th, as it conflicts with a current conference that majority, I believe, are at.
Thank you very much. And with those additions and changes, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Nicholson. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Ms. Boyd. Yep. Yeah, it'll be under MB1.
Thank you, Chair. That the minutes of the regular board meeting of September 27th, 2023 be adopted.
No errors or omissions. Moved by Director Abbott, seconded by Director Toporowski. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries.
Thank you. We have no business arising from the minutes, and I don't believe anyone in the gallery for public input period. No delegations, and we have a report from the chairperson. No?
I feel like I was going to have something here, but I don't. Director Morrison? Pardon? Go ahead. Oh, yeah, might as well. That might be something that we should bring up. Yesterday was the Island Corridor Foundation's annual general meeting and board meeting. I just want to report back with some gratitude that the members adopted the direction from the regional districts as well as from the ICF board to support the two working groups that will work specifically on the land back process, working to facilitate the return of lands that bisect reserves and are subject to reversionary rights with the First Nations, and also to look at the broader issues and opportunities with the line entirely with the other second working group. And I will just say as a board member, and thank you to Director Morrison, our member rep, it was the most, I would say, collaborative, calm board and annual general meeting that I've been involved in since I've been a member of that board. And it was really refreshing, and I think that it aligns with our values as an organization. It definitely aligns with my personal values to prioritize and work with the nations on the return of those lands and resolving the encumbrances that at present do present a bit of a barrier to that process moving forward. But I'm looking forward to the next steps for the organization and the CVRD's participation as a member of the organization, and hopefully this will be a sort of a new era for both the ICF and our work with the nations all across the corridor areas. So with that report, if there's no additions, sorry, Director Nicholson.
I was just wondering who does the communications on this kind of thing? It would be nice to see something in the newspaper about this.
Yeah, the ICF is 1.25 people, I think, basically, but I'll definitely give them that feedback for sure. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll move on. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you. Number 7, correspondence. Correspondence from the Cowichan Valley Primary Care Society regarding the letter of support. The recommendation is that the board directs staff to provide a letter of support for the Cowichan Valley Primary Care Society as they continue to explore funding options to create a network of community-driven, team-based primary care clinics within the Cowichan region.
Moved by Director McGonigal, seconded by Director Abbott. Any discussion? I think we've had some discussions around this table. It's an interesting opportunity. Did have a session at UBCM on them at the Mid-Sized Communities Forum, and I think at other forums possibly as well. Any discussion? Go to Director Nicholson and then Director Wilson.
Really, I just have a question because I don't know very much about this at all. I don't know anything about this at all. I'll say up front. I am wondering if the models are sensitive to the fact that whether we would be creating a 2-tier system where we would be competing with other communities to attract doctors because they get supplemental remuneration through through a model that because your community can afford more or whatever. That has just been raised to me as a concern, and I'd be interested in understanding this a little bit more. And I didn't go to the thing at UBCM, unfortunately.
Well, so I can't speak to that. I had heard that from a couple of delegates at the conference, but I also sat in on the presentation at the Mid-Sized Community Forum, which seemed like it was being promoted quite heavily as an opportunity where doctors want to be doctors and not have to run businesses to establish these societies. They're already occurring in our adjacent regions to us. So in some senses, if that presents a greater opportunity for those communities, then we're presently at a disadvantage in the Cowichan without that opportunity that's being implemented within the CRD and other adjacent jurisdictions. I'm not aware of that. I did listen to the presentation for about 3/4 of it because I couldn't stay for the duration. I had a minister's meeting, but it seemed to be, from at least the UBCM perspective, an innovative way to support that primary care health network. I can't answer those questions, so if we wanted to investigate further, then we'd have to, I guess, provide direction on that investigation. I think I saw Director Wilson and Director McGonigal.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And to try and answer some of Director Nicholson's concerns, I think probably a good idea if you go back and look at the delegation that came forward from Dr. Sanders and his colleagues. But one of the things about this is that, and I've heard this before, oh, well, this is just another way of doctors making more money. It's not. The doctors who are involved here are very, very committed to providing services for those who don't have it, or providing a service which is wraparound. You don't just say, okay, come and talk to me, I'll tell you what's wrong with it, and then I'll fix you up with an appointment to see a consultant in 6 months' time. There will be other, there will be other people there who can help you, physiotherapists and all that, and it's not a question of 2-tier by any means. This is just for everybody. It's not a new idea by any means. It's something which has been used in Europe and the UK for some considerable time, and it's something which the province is looking very, very carefully into. I would hope that we can send a letter of support to the authorities, hoping that this will go forward. I have sent an email out to the board where there is a discussion on, I think it's this Thursday evening, or perhaps the following Thursday, given by Saanich, where their model has been working for some time. It's not a question of money, it's a question of getting doctors here, making sure we get the younger doctors, we keep them, and we provide the services. That is critically short right now, and that's the best I can say about that one. But I would support sending the letter of support as quickly as we can.
Thank you. Director McGonigal?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think it's interesting, the timing of this, considering the announcement by the federal government of British Columbia being the first model of the new healthcare funding, and specifically mentioning primary care in that announcement. So moving forward, the direction from the federal government is more on primary care as opposed to two-tier as well. With BC being the implementation of all provinces as a template, I think this is a great opportunity to jump on board of that funding opportunity.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, do we have a mover and seconder? Call the question. All those in favor? Or did you have a question? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you. We have no information. Moving to committee and commission reports. Report and recommendations from the committee of the whole meeting of September 27th, 2023. Director Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 items, I think.
Yeah.
D1, R1, and R6. And seeing they were in the agenda and published in advance, I would move those 3 items.
Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Acton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Ms. Boyd.
CR2, report and recommendations from the Electoral Area Services Committee, meeting of October 4th, 2023. Director Nicholson.
Thank you. The Electoral Area Services Committee meeting of October 4th recommends that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grant and leads, as listed in your agenda, be approved, and R5, the budget for 325, be amended, and that R6, the 2023 budget for Function 325, be amended. So those are all published in your agenda, and that's moved.
Do we have a seconder? Director Wilson, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Ms. Boyd. Oh, no, back to Director Nicholson, my apologies.
And so then electoral area directors only vote on the following. Does anyone want anything pulled? Is that, Director Wilson, is that your hand? You're okay? Okay, so then I move R1 through R7.
Okay, that's been moved. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Segal. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Ms. Boyd.
CR3, report and recommendations of the Special Electoral Area Services Committee meeting of October 5th, 2023. Director Nicholson.
Your committee recommends that the Function 250 Electoral Area Services 2024 core budget values as identified in this doesn't read very well, but let me try this again. So this is about our budget, and so the Function 250 budget, Electoral Area Services 2024 core budget values as identified in column G of attachment A, Function 250 detailed financial report, be approved, minus $80,000 commitment for geographical information system light detection and ranging. And your committee moves that.
Okay, seconded by Director Morrison. Just one moment, just for clarity, Ms. Boyd. It says electoral area directors vote on the following, but that's a budget item. So is that just forwarding it to the further budget discussion that would be an all-board vote?
Yes.
Generally, budget items are all board. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of nods, so we'll go with that. Director Wilson.
Yeah, we in the discussion phase now, Mr. Chair? We are, aren't we?
Usually that's done at committee, but go ahead, Director Wilson.
Yeah, but then, I don't think it's me. Let me just check here.
Somebody's got a hot mic.
Mike's not that hot.
Okay. Yeah, it was discussed at committee, I agree, but I've had a week now to look at this much more carefully, and I'm still very concerned about some of the things that said, and at the risk of being, of sounding like I'm chastising or lecturing and all the rest of it, I'm not. I'm trying to point out some very pertinent facts here that we've talked about sharpening pencils and getting erasers out, and yet we're still going to be voting for something which is going to put a huge increase onto this particular budget. I'm going to I would like to amend this to send it back to the EASC for further discussion.
Okay.
And in that case, I'm assuming we have to have a vote to try and
So,
debate this. And then
yeah, I
send
might
it
call on Ms. Boyd's expertise in a moment, but that's a referral motion to refer this item back to ESC for further
Yeah.
discussion.
back. Yeah, and I can give reasons for that if necessary.
And so on the referral motion, does that still belong to the electoral area directors only? Yes. Question through to staff. I'll look for a seconder from the EAS group. Budget timelines, if this is put back for further discussion at EAS, how would that impact your process? I just think it's for clarity. Ms. Bowen?
Through you to the chair. It would be fine. Because the next EASC is going to be the first week of November, which is still in time for, if I have to make a small change for the November 9th meeting, should be fine. Everything else will be completed.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I thought the next EAS was next Wednesday. It's not? Okay, even sooner. So that motion has been made. Do we have a seconder? So it's seconded by Director Deck. Any further discussion? It's on a referral, so I'm going to call the question. Electoral Area Director Morrison.
So on the propriety of referral, so I'm understanding that in the referral motion, it's on the basis of information that was contained in reports that were considered at committee. And there's no new information to be brought forward. It's simply a reconsideration. So the committee has voted on this. So I'm looking to my colleagues, if there's no new information. I read the reports. I think we had a very thorough consideration. Is this how we want to be reviewing each decision that we make in committee? And then we're going to have that extra review when the budgets are all pulled together. So I don't really, see this as a precedent, but isn't it? In that we've done the work at committee, it's before us to be included in the budget, and we will be having another look. So this is amounting to a third look at a budget that's pretty straightforward.
Okay,
I won't be supporting.
I'm going to try and stick to this as a referral motion, so I don't want to get into substantive debate on the content of the reports, but I have Director Acton and Director Wilson, and I'll call my own points of order.
On the motion of referral, I will not be supporting that. I think we had a really good discussion, and we voted on it, and we decided there could be new information brought forward later when we have a better look at the budget. And are we going to do this every single time that electoral areas doesn't like what's happened, so that the board has to hear us debate it once again, and then it goes back again? So I think nothing's going to change from this week to next week for myself, so I'll be voting against this. Thank you.
Director Wilson, and then hopefully I can call the question on a simple referral motion.
Okay. Doesn't like what happened. That's an interesting point of view. It's not a question of whether I like it or not. It's a question of finances. We've got food banks which are overloaded. We've got
Okay,
people who are
Director Wilson, this is
all right.
not on the referral.
All right, on the referral then, looking at the numbers here, I have had a second look at it because I've had a whole week to do that and crunch the numbers myself. And I'm not happy with what I'm seeing here. It's not a question of whether I like it or not. Yes, we've had a discussion, and yes, people have voted on it.
Point of
but
order,
I
if
would like
that's
to
a
see
jab
a
at what
second
I
try
said.
at it if we can. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna tighten this up a little bit. This is on a referral on whether it's worth, like, the validity of referring it back to committee or not. Thank you, Director Martman, and hopefully I can call the question. Because I don't think we're changing any minds here, folks, but it's not my place to say. You go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I guess on the motion, on the motion to refer, the way I look at the process is the piece that's most important to me is when a decision is made at committee and you have a week to think about things and you change your mind, this is one way in the process to have it revisited if the majority of the group decides that. So from my perspective, I think it's a good thing and a healthy thing to have that brought forward, and we'll live with the decision of the group.
Thank you. And alternatively, there will be another opportunity during budget to discuss further. There's two options on the table for you electoral area directors only. All those in favor of the referral back to committee and opposed? That motion fails. Thank you, though. It was a good fight. Ms. Boyd. That was just the referral. Oh, yeah, so the referral failed, so now we actually got to call the question. So for those who didn't get the referral, please refrain from more procedural machinations. You will get another opportunity further in the budget discussion to get your erasers and your pencils sharpened. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor and opposed? Directors Deck, hold your hands up. Martman and Wilson opposed. The motion carries.
I can go now.
Better put tabs on your notes, Mike.
CR4, report and recommendations from the Committee of the Whole meeting of October 11th, 2023. Director Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and those are from today, so I guess I should read these out. We report and recommend from today, 3 items. C1, that the board directs staff to provide a letter of support for the Cowichan Housing Association to accompany their regional application for a community gaming grant, Human and Social Services 2024-2025, for Cowichan Ending Homelessness Coalition Coordinator and supporting work. 2, that a grant application in the amount of up to $300,000 be submitted to the Union of British Columbia Municipalities Community Emergency Preparedness Fund for disaster risk reduction and climate adaptation. And R3, that a grant application for up to $800,000 be submitted to the Union of BC Municipalities, UBCM, Community Resiliency Investment Program, Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports, with the CVRD as the administrator that will apply for, receive, and manage the grant funding for the 2 applicants, the City of Duncan and the Town of Ladysmith, and I move those 3 items.
Thank you. And do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director McClinton. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you. We have no director reports. Moving to 11 staff reports. SR1, report from the Development Services Division regarding bylaws numbers 4494 and 4495 for information.
Thank you. So that's there for information. I believe those bylaws are further on our agenda. Any questions before we move on? Seeing none, we'll continue on. Ms. Boyd.
Thank you. We have no public hearings and bylaws for electoral area directors. That CVRD bylaw 4424, Development Permit Area Amendment Bylaw 2023, be granted 3rd reading.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director McClinton. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
That CVRD bylaw 4424, Development Permit Area Amendment Bylaw 2023, be adopted.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director Segal. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
BEA 2, that CVRD bylaw 4484, Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 2023, be granted 3rd reading.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director Segal. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
And that CVRD bylaw number 4484, Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 2023, be adopted.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director McClinton. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
Few more to get through. CVRD bylaw number 4485, zoning bylaw for electoral areas, development permit exemptions and guidelines, 2023, be granted third reading.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director Abbott. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
That CVRD bylaw number 4485, zoning bylaw for electoral areas, development permit exemptions and guidelines, 2023, be adopted.
Moved by Director Abbott, seconded by Director Nicholson. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
BEA 4, that CVRD bylaw 4494, electoral areas work and servicing bylaw amendment, community water system definition, 2023, be granted first and second readings.
Moved by Director Nicholson, seconded by Director Deck. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
And that CVRD bylaw 4495, Area H North Oyster Diamond Zoning Amendment Bylaw, Community Water System Definition, 2023, be granted first and second readings.
Moved by Director Martman, seconded by Director Nicholson. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
We have no resolutions, unfinished business, or notice of motions. We move to 18 of new business. This is regarding the meeting of October 25th for Committee of the Whole and Board.
So in conversations, our CAO with the senior staff, there didn't seem to be concern about canceling the 25th meeting. We'll look to possibly scheduling an additional meeting in November if it's necessary, but staff will work through the agendas we have. We may be able to sprinkle those reports in them to get them out of the way in our regular November schedule, but have some time on that last Wednesday in November. So keep that open. I know it's not presently scheduled, but please keep that Wednesday open if possible. So we will, I think we should get a motion to cancel the October 25th Board and Committee of the Whole meetings. Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Abbott. Any discussion? Director McClinton.
Through the chair, it might be nice if staff could send out a placeholder, just in
Yep.
the meeting. That'd be great.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. In addition to that, in some of the discussion going around in polling directors who were going, we've found that Director Wilson is not attending now, but I think Director Acton, I don't know if any other directors had, you're okay? Okay. Anyway, if other directors, this would be the time to consider it. We do have a policy that does frankly need to be updated to allow directors to attend. I think Vallejo should be included in our annual conference schedule, especially for the island communities. But that being said, I'll go to Director Acton. I believe she would like to attend, and it would require a motion to waive the policy because of the limit, or permission of the board, because the limit, I think, is $500 and Valle is slightly over. Yeah, so it would be permission of the board for Director Acton to attend. That was moved by Director Morrison. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Director Segal. Did you want to speak to it, Director Acton?
Sure. I'd
Okay,
just
go
like
ahead.
to say that I did not get the opportunity to go to UBCM, so this would be appreciated. And it also would, I think, greatly benefit my role on the ICE-T board.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Before we do this, is there any other directors that would like to attend? The meeting day's been canceled. I'm not going to ask a third time, but this is a second call for self-nomination, not immolation, nomination. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. So with that, I believe that takes us to question period. Seeing none, Ms. Boyd.
Thank you, Chair. We're moving into closed session, that the motion be, the meeting be closed to the public in accordance with the Community Charter, Part 4, Division 3, Section 90, subsections. That will be Section 91A for appointments, Section and personal information, as well as Section 91C for employee relations.
Okay, before we take the motion to close, I just want to say to the board, thank you very much. It's been an interesting year as chair with the new board. The chair elections, I believe, at our next board meeting in November. So this may be my last meeting as board chair. I hope not, but that being said, I do have really enjoyed this year as chair more than previous years, I'll be honest. But, you know, going through COVID and some of the challenges, I know when Director Yanni DiNardo was chair too, it's just challenging times, both for our communities, for our organization, just because of the context of so many things that were going on. And I think we're still in that sort of culture change project, both within communities and also at the board table. But it's been an absolute pleasure this year to act as board chair. And I'm hopeful that as we move forward as an organization, whether I'm the chair or not, that we continue to pick up momentum on the path that we're on. And I want to give special gratitude to not just our returning directors, who I think have been great collaborators around this table, have been really good sort of mentors for our new directors, but a compliment to all of our new directors as well, who have brought like a real diversity of viewpoints. No, I was giving you a hard time, Jess. But a real diversity of viewpoints, but done it in a good way, right? Like I know that we have all kinds of different persuasions around the tables and priorities, but we've all managed to work together really well, and I think that's a compliment to the quality of people at the table, and it's been an absolute pleasure to serve as your chair for this year, so I want to thank you for that. And with that, Ms. Boyd, the motion to go into closed session. Moved by Director Morrison, seconded by Director Segal. All those in favor? Any opposed?